Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leah Mulhern, and I will be co-chairing tonight's facilities meeting as one of the new co-chairs this year for that committee. So welcome. Thank you for bearing with us as we are starting a few minutes late. Our apologies. I would like to start the meeting with a roll call, starting with Ms. Lohman.
Jennifer Lemon here.
Robin Murphy present.
Daniel Schultz here.
Pam Henry here.
Leah Mulhern present.
Burdell Williams present.
Great. Thank you, everyone. If I could have a motion to accept the minutes from our February meeting.
So moved, Daniel.
Thank you. A second. Carl, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. And with that, we will begin tonight's presentation. Mr. Swigert is here tonight to provide that for us.
All right, thank you, Leah. Not a robust agenda this evening, so we will get through it in no time for sure. So first, just wanted to bring your attention a couple of things around the district that are outward facing towards community. We had, as a result of all the windstorms the past couple of weeks, we had some tree damage and suffered. This is a picture of a tree that fell at Cedar Brook on the tennis court. Of course, we filed an insurance claim. This may or may not reach the level of claim, but that was a picture of the results. I believe today they were out to clean that up. Also, in the same vicinity, we had a tree fall on power lines. We almost had to close Cedar Brook. It was a result of the windstorm that occurred just before the SPS fire. We were actually going to close Cedar Brook before the SPS fire actually closed down the entire district. But those were cleaned up within a couple of days, I believe, Wednesday morning. And as you remember, and this has been talked about quite a bit, Friday on February 18th closed the district for 2 days. Emergency services solicited the expertise of countywide health officials to determine there was no health and safety risk to students before they return back to school at Glenside and Winco elementary schools. And everything was below levels established by regulatory agencies, CDC, OSHA. Like, any questions on some of the facilities issues that have been going on the past month?
Mr. Schultz?
Just and I'll admit I'm hearing chatter from the Jenkintown School District and community. Are their soil sample, like we tested the air, is there any, were any of our schools in line with the actual smoke? And is it possible that there's ground contamination that we should be thinking about at all?
So from what I heard, some of the pumps that were controlling the water at the site lost power, so obviously they're going to take some of the wastewater away and some of it seeped into the creek. But I didn't get a follow-up. I can get one for you. I think fortunately the wind was not blowing towards Cheltenham during that incident, so I don't think we were subject to quite as much danger as surrounding areas.
The one thing that we did do for Glenside, Winco, we did disinfect the playgrounds at those schools as well that were within a 1 mile radius. So that's one update that we did report out on.
Any other questions? Dr. Whiting?
Just a comment, just credit to Dr. Scriven and the district for responding to that so quickly and operating our site as a community resource. We pride ourselves in being a community focused school district, and we show that even with our neighbors, not just with ourselves. So thank you for doing that. That's exactly the values we want.
Any other questions? Great.
All right, moving on to an update of all of the projects we're currently undertaking on the long-range capital plan. And just a refresher, we have 6 projects currently started in some form or another. We have the addition at Cedar Brook, the addition at Glenside Elementary, the Cheltenham High School Stadium, the Cheltenham High School partial roof replacement this summer, the Cheltenham High School HVAC upgrade project, and an administrative building renovation that is yet to be determined or started. So in order, the Cedar Brook and Glenside addition, we meet every week with KCBA, our civil engineer, and SiteLogic, our construction planning firm. And we're currently at the land development phase of the project, meaning we have completed design of the site work, the civil facilities. We've submitted our preliminary land development application with the townships. So you'll start to see the Glenside addition project pop up in the Shade Tree Commission meeting and the Public Works meeting, and eventually at the commissioners meeting. We also filed our application with the Montgomery County Conservation District for stormwater management. So that is underway to keep us on track for a December bid for this project. Cedar Brook will be soon behind with those exact same processes. I believe we're very close to filing land development and with the Conservation District as well. So those projects are still on track for fall of 2027. Any questions on Cedar Brook or Glenside?
Confirming, as I recall, there was already time built into the timeline. Some of these studies and things like that can take time. And I think there was already time built in if they take longer than normal into the timeline or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think particularly with Glenside, it's such a small project. I think we have quite a bit of cushion in it. And Cedar Brook is the one we're paying a lot closer attention to. So SiteLogic is working on two things for us. We hope to present future facilities committee. One is a budget for both projects, a detailed broken out budget, and two is a fully fleshed out construction schedule. Gantt chart that's a little more detailed than what KCBA gave us. So that'll be forthcoming. You will start to see some posting on Glenside Elementary, probably on Cedar Brook in the near future as well. If you get any questions related to public posting for the site being part of the township agenda. All right, the high school project. So last time we took a look at this project, KCBA presented a cost. We didn't really get the time or opportunity to walk through how we got to that cost, or how we started this project, how we got to where we are. I just wanted to put some more information out there on capital outlays, cash outlays to date versus what we have left to pay versus what we procured. So, going back in time a little bit to the start of this project, we developed an initial budget for the high school stadium. If you remember, it was $7 million at one point. We were looking at spending for this project. That is because we were trying to avoid having to replace the gatehouse and just focusing on the bleachers and the field facility. But eventually, very early on, realized we had to construct the gatehouse as a matter of code in compliance with the additional aluminum bleacher capacity. So that added to the project, and that pushed it up to our $10 million estimate you saw, roughly $10 million estimate you saw as part of the feasibility study. If I take that original cost, that $10 million we were using, and adjust it for inflation, because we were looking at costs from 2022, now we're at 2025, it's roughly a 14.2% inflation factor, so now you're here at 12 million. So that's how, that's how we got from point A to point B on this project to where we're now looking at a $12 million construction phase. And so you can see most of this project we procured already. We've procured the bleachers, fortunately in November. So before tariffs could potentially kick in and impact pricing, we've procured the electrical transformer. We procured the track and the turf. And the last piece is the actual gatehouse itself and the site work, basically everything around the track oval in the stadium. And that is the estimated $5.5 million cost for that piece. A large part of that cost is actually the elimination of the dirt on the site, as pretty much all soils in the Philadelphia area are considered regulated soil based on the time of construction, and most of it has to be shipped off site and properly disposed of. So that's quite a bit of cost in that number. But that's how we land up at the $12 million figure. This last bid piece will be opened on March 13th at a public bid opening meeting. which we will keep minutes for. And we are hoping to approve this before the Ed Affairs Committee meeting on the 18th. I think the sooner the better to approve this project and get pricing locked in.
So Mr. Swaggart, I don't mean to blindside by any means. But I have a question for the board. Have any of you ever done any type of home improvement project such as remodeling a kitchen, remodeling a bathroom? When you undertook that project, depending on the degree in which you want to do the upgrade, you probably completely gutted the space first, right? And then you probably pushed in all new materials in that space, correct? There's one piece that's not reflected on here that I would be remiss if I didn't reflect it. And it's the scoreboard. We are looking at a brand new facility. Excuse my public, with the same old raggedy scoreboard. I'm just being honest with you. So I am seeking, no vote required, but I'm seeking your consideration for us to investigate what that potentially would entail. I'm struggling with doing almost everything new and having that same scoreboard. So Mr. Sparker wasn't even aware I was gonna go there this evening. But just as I reflect, I needed to present that. And I know that this has, you know, I saw Dan's expression. I mean, 14.2, inflation over 3 is pretty incredible. But our students really do deserve the best of what we can give. I'm trying not to cut shortcuts in this area because it's something that they're all going to benefit from. So just wanted to put that out there. Josh, any idea what a scoreboard potentially?
A very small portion, like very, very small portion of this project.
Yeah, minimal, but are we talking 100,000?
No, probably under 30.
All right. So I mean, I just wanted to
For like a.
No, I wasn't accountable. Nothing to that degree, but I'm thinking based on just quality of what we're looking for, I'm thinking it would probably be a little closer to 60. And I've done no homework, but I just know based on ballpark. So I always like to present it dramatically, so that.
You're gonna ask us to do some DIY, like we
Oh,
might
right.
have done.
Hold the numbers up.
But I just, that's a major piece in terms of when you
Yeah,
look at
and it's
presentation.
Visual.
And it's the one thing that everybody's looking at all the time.
Yeah.
They're, you know.
So that's,
Theoretically, it would go across sports.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Track events.
Soccer, field hockey, you know. So,
Mr. Burdollians.
Yeah, I'm glad, I mean, appreciate you bringing that up. I think it's important. And I know Josh is gonna love my comment as well. Because I guess the question or comment I have there is that as we are into this project now, right, is it, if there's any, you know, ancillary items that we maybe haven't considered or considered is, and we want to include that are, I say ancillary, like some way of better managing the practice field. And just thinking about what our capacity is to, I'm not trying to scope creep, I'm trying to stay associated to the high school stadium. But just recognizing that I think that, in terms of field utilization, if the practice field is in any condition, is it close to what it was last year, that I would imagine that it would be a given that folks would not even use it and they would spend all of their time on the turf field. I'm just thinking about that just from managing that time. That it could be challenging to do. And I don't know if any help for that practice field would, be close to the amount of effort or cost as the scoreboard. I'm just putting that out there as one example. In terms of any ancillary items that we may want to consider. It's directly next door to there. I mean, right now, I think the plan is for soccer, everybody to kind of use the same field. I just feel like that's a lot of jostling of a schedule if we have a field next to it that could potentially, be used to its best capacity. Understanding human nature a little bit, right? You got the big shiny one next door and the little dusty one. Just gonna let the little dusty live out its useful life. So just wanted to put that out there as a thought. Just one, not necessarily a question.
Agree. No, I'm being very honest right now.
Oh,
When
yeah.
when I say that, I think your point is very valid.
Yeah.
So I'm asking from the standpoint of, we can put together recommendations potentially, right? That could show a scope of what we could do and what it would cost. Because I think I'm hearing you say, us trying to be proactive and try to get the best use of life out of both over long range and not just a short range game.
Yeah, potentially. I just, my only comment, and this is just thinking about the overall timeline and what Scope Creek could do. If in fact, there was an opportunity to improve that field in some way that would not impact the longer timeline. I would, as one board member, want to see that as kind of an optimal scenario. But I would be open to just considering what we may want to do, again, as a thought.
Even with the main stadium, the equipment that's gonna be necessary for maintaining that, is that all built in to this as psychologic, like, giving us a potential punch list of what the supporting items?
So that's part of the athletic track and surf project is the equipment necessary to maintain.
Okay.
Michelle?
So a couple high level thoughts, just appreciate the desire to be thoughtful and proactive and make sure that we are delivering the best possible improvement with the budget we have. I would caution us to avoid scope creep at this stage and instead would charge our administration and our athletics director to tell us what you need. Reality is, we don't know what our economic situation is going to be over the next several years. We're looking at 25% tariffs that are probably going to impact all of our construction projects in ways that we may or may not be able to anticipate. And we are already looking at financial situations that are going to push us above the tax increases that I think we want to see just based on the contracts we've already agreed to. So I +1 to the scoreboard, not plus or minus anything to the idea of beyond scoreboard, but I do want to set that tone as another board member. We do need to strike a balance of working within our means while also delivering what we need to do. Not that anyone was proposing anything other. I do have that question though around, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but given that there are now tariffs in place that were not in place last Friday, do we have a sense of whether that's going to likely impact, are they on things that will impact our construction costs, both for the stadium project, but also the Glen Side and Cedar Bluff.
There's a separate slide for that.
Great, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments about? Mr. Beck?
Please.
Ms. Henry?
So one of the things, to what Dan was saying, I think could be helpful though, is for those other ancillary items, is if there could be sort of a list with the cost associated with them, so they could possibly at some point, depending on budgets and all those other things, make considerations. But at least we would have an idea of what we're talking about. So not necessarily approving them out the gate, but saying, okay, so here is something that we could add, and sort of having some, view into that might be helpful for us.
Sure, I mean, I could talk about what we are doing. We, since I've been here, we established a weed and feed and fertilization and seeding program for all our athletic fields at the high school. That's been going on, this is year 2. So the goal is to plant more grass, have more fertilizer, to add some weed control so that it doesn't get blotted out in the fall. That is it, one of the minimum things we could do to try and improve the grass growth and field quality. The issue we run across obviously is we don't have irrigation, we don't have sprinklers in the field, so all of our best efforts could be ended in a drought. And the other piece is we don't have great field quality because the soil used on the site was in essence the fill that was dug out when the high school was there. So everything is going to be an uphill battle short of bringing in our own soils and bringing in irrigation. So, which you can imagine are very cost prohibitive. But we'll continue to do. We will continue to seed the fields. We'll continue to fertilize the fields in our regular. We're using Total Turf, which specializes in athletic fields for school districts and golf courses, of course. So we'll continue those services in the future.
Mr. X?
Yeah, not to belabor, but that's how I interpreted it as well. As Mrs. Henry, and I actually thought about and the name escapes me at the moment, but the system we have in place that tells us what projects are.
FMX.
Yes, FMX. So that's the first thing I thought of, where it actually, I guess the field is probably in there somewhere, right? FMX, and we would theoretically, or is it something like that would be in that system?
More the fixtures in the field.
Okay, more than the actual field itself. Okay, that's helpful to understand. But yeah, when you originally said it, the first thing that came to mind was, well, thinking about a whole nother turf field. And so, and I know we heard districts actually start to think about every 3 to 5 years expanding on the footprint. So that's, seems about that would be a feasible timeline, because if we're going to do anything, we might as well do it. That's it. Sorry.
Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Spark.
All right, just revisiting the timeline for this project. So here we have the 18th. We're hoping to get approval for this project. The 13th, oops, that was a really bad squiggle. The 13th, we're hoping to open the bid. We're still waiting on the PDS permit and a notice to proceed. So we're looking at a June 1st date to begin construction and end of August date to end construction. It is a very aggressive, tight window, but not outside of what has been done in other districts. And thoroughly communicated at our pre-bid meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, I believe. And just focusing on the project itself. So for those who are interested and those who are listening that are interested, the project itself will occur entirely in the existing fence of the stadium. So, a lot of times you see a construction project go up and the first thing they do is they throw up a fence with a screen. We're kind of lucky in that we already have a fence, and this whole project is already secluded from the rest of the site. Unfortunately, due to grade steepness on the back of the field, the best entrance and exit for this field is actually the road right here. And the first piece of the project, which would be replacement of everything inside the oval, is about 700 truckloads of soil coming in and out of the site. So there'll be quite a bit of activity coming up and down this road all summer. And of course, we have our other little project, the roofing project occurring down here in the bottom corner, and the partial roof replacement over Stratton Hall in this section of the roof immediately next to it. Any questions on the project itself?
It's definitely not the project, although, but it's, since it's on the picture, I'm gonna ask about it. Is it the sort of the driveway or the road in front of the main entrance of the high school is in really bad shape? There's potholes, there's cone up there now.
Is it this section right here?
No, it's
The flag.
the flagpole.
Oh, over here.
Yeah.
This area.
It's that area right there. It's the main entrance and the road, it's terrible. The road is in terrible shape. I know that's not kind of on our to-do list, but
We're responsible for this. That road, right? That's not township.
She's Ms. Sloman's talking about alongside the flagpole, so that's actually on school property.
Okay.
I would have to imagine that's ours to mill and repave.
yeah, it's, unavoidable. You walk, it's right there. It's the
It
front
is.
entrance.
Right.
We'll have to add that to the queue. I don't know, that's something we'll be able to add to this summer's
Yeah,
agenda.
I just wanted to put it out there because when I drove to Black History Month
Right.
last week, I hit the pothole. And then then I saw there was a cone there and then I went around the cone and then I was like, oh, this isn't great.
Kinda think it's along where the speed bump is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where it is. That's where they're really bad.
It's an inverse speed.
Philadelphia has lots.
Well, at a minimum, we can look at pothole fill versus
Yeah.
repave.
Great. Any other questions on this particular slide or comments on the stadium project? That was it. I couldn't remember. All right, are there any other board questions about anything that we saw this evening? All right, I will see. Are there any questions from the public, anyone on Zoom or anyone in the room? Seeing none, thank you so much, Mr. Swigert, for this presentation and for keeping us up to date on all of our many projects. And thank you, to reiterate what some other board members said, thank you for all the work that was done supporting the community and our neighbors during the fire at SPS. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. A second, Ms. Murphy, and the meeting is adjourned.